I found something really interesting the other day. I was just watching a documentary about the Aztecs, and this is what I saw. And just for heads up, my video quality is not the best on this. I was just sitting on my couch taking the video, so I apologize in advance. And it's going to be kind of disturbing, just so you know.
Human sacrifice took many forms. Perhaps one of the most mystifying to scholars was the act of flaying a captive and then wearing his skin.
They really apparently developed surgical skills in dispatching their victims and in taking off their skins. And we have a number of images, stone idols, of the god Xipe shown actually wearing the human skin. It was considered particularly appropriate to sacrifice young children up to the age of 5 and 6.
Absolutely horrific. I mean, it's crazy the types of things that we discover that these ancient peoples did. But we really shouldn't be surprised. I mean, in America, our morals have gone down so much. We are doing some of the very exact things, not exact things, but very similar things. Take abortion, for example. What is that? I mean, like, Aztecs, they cut out the baby's heart and they sacrificed them. I mean, we're not cutting up the baby's heart, but we are cutting up the babies inside the mom's womb. We're doing very similar things. And we might not be sacrificing them to, like, the sun god or the fertility god, but we're sacrificing them on the altar of self, right? All of these children that we've murdered here in America, 60 million plus children, have all been sacrificed to the god of self. Very similar things. All of these examples point to this point that I want to make, and that is that America, we have completely lost it. And that is actually more than just America. I'm talking about most countries in the world have completely lost our moral compass. But America was the moral compass. We were the example. That's what we were supposed to be. We were one nation under God, and we led by honor, and we led by what was right. And we've completely lost that now. I found it very interesting. Actually, the most interesting part of all of that documentary I watched was the very end when the lady, I'm going to show the clip in just a second, but she was talking about how the Aztecs did what they thought was moral, or that they were a moral society. What?
I think the biggest misconception about the Aztecs is that people feel they were savages, but in fact they were not. They were deeply moral people. And from the time an Aztec child was very young, that child was taught to be prudent, to be discreet, to be modest, and to always do the correct thing. The Aztecs, even though they did practice human sacrifice and their warriors were valiant, were themselves circumspect and moral people.
She says that she thinks the biggest misconception is that people think that they're savages. Of course they're savages. They're ripping people's hearts out and giving them to some god that doesn't even exist. What is she talking about? That they were actually a very moral society. You see, when they're ripping people's hearts out and babies' hearts out and spilling blood under their hair and doing crazy things, that was all very, very moral of them. It wasn't insane, demonic, or straight up crazy. It was moral. And she's completely serious. She legitimately thinks that they're a moral society. Like, they dressed properly, they taught their children from a very young age to be proper, and they went to the altars willingly to sacrifice themselves. Like, even in America, we're like, oh, we're very proper people. I mean, we think that the LGBT community should be allowed to do what they want. We need to love them. That makes us moral because we love them, even though we're doing all the wrong things. But no, we're a moral society because we love people, because we are proper to these people. Like, where is your standard? What is morality when killing people all of a sudden is moral? Or at least that's just put by the wayside. That doesn't matter. We're not going to look at the, killing happening over here. We're going to look at, how they dressed or how they acted, aside from killing people, because that's what we're going to define as moral in our society. And clearly, we need to love people. When I said that, I didn't mean you don't love the people, the LGBTQ plus all the other numbers and letters that they have in there. You don't not love them. You do love them, but you don't condone or love their sin. And that's the problem. People are like, yes, you need to love them. Stop spreading hate. You have to love all these people. No, I mean, yes, the people. but they're talking about everything they're doing too. And that's exactly what we need to not do. That's what I meant. She says the child was taught to always do the correct thing. No, they weren't, obviously. They're killing each other. They almost went extinct because of that before what's-his-face came along, Cortez, and wiped them all out. Like, they were going to kill themselves anyway because they're killing everyone. Well, obviously, they're always doing what's correct. They skinned people and wore their skin. That's just disgusting. Yeah. No, and I completely forgot to mention, they were also eating people. They were cannibals. They were eating people, and they were eating the babies they sacrificed. But no, they're moral. They're very moral. She even says, like, even though they did practice human sacrifice, once again, completely disregarding that they did that, like, oh, that's just a side thought. Other than the most horrible thing that we've ever heard of, that wasn't really that important. What was important is that they themselves, the people that agreed with the human sacrifice, were, like, moral people. If you are agreeing with it, that doesn't make you moral. Just because you are discreet and modest doesn't mean you're moral. Like, is that the definition of it all of a sudden? In fact, let's look up a definition. Concern with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. I think it's a bad thing to kill people. I don't think being discreet or being discreet or modest makes you moral. Doing what is right, and knowing the difference between right and wrong and doing what is right is what is moral. And that does not include killing people. And so that's just completely twisted. And that's what's wrong with Americans. Like, morals are objective. They're whatever you think is right. It just depends. Like, if you're killing people, but you're doing it for the right reasons, then it's okay. And that's literally what most people would tell you. Like, oh yeah, like, the Taliban killing people that disagree with them, that's moral of them because they think that's correct. But if they were to kill you, would you still be okay with that? So yeah, there isn't such thing as moral objectivity, like, depending on the person. Morals come straight from God, and He's the only person we can get morals from. Otherwise, you have an insane, degenerate society that thinks that everything is okay and can justify everything. I mean, if morals all depend on the person, then why do we have a justice system? Like, what's the point? And why should you ever get upset if someone wrongs you? Because that's correct for them. You just completely get rid of morals, and everything is chaos. It doesn't work like that. You have to point everything back to God, and He's our foundation of morals and how we live life. And if we don't have that, we're lost. And we already are lost. So we just have to get back to that. You can't just say people are moral. Like, you're just completely throwing God under the bus at that point. Can't do that. I think it needs to be made clear that just because you think something is correct or think it's moral doesn't mean that it is. She says at the very end of her monologue that they taught their children to do what was right. And they taught them to kill people. So maybe they probably did legitimately think that they were doing what was right. That does not mean that it's correct. And that's what I'm talking about, moral objectivity, is that we need to go to God for that. Because only God is going to define what is correct. Because we ourselves cannot decide that. Because when we decide that, things go south. Only God should be the one deciding what is correct. In fact, He is the only one deciding what's correct. We just have to listen to Him. Thank you for running through all that with me. I really just had to get that out there, get out of my system, because we need to stop messing up what morals are, and we're completely undermining the whole definition of it. And I'm sick of it. It's very straightforward, very clear. So yeah, just thank you for going through all this with me. Not great quality, I understand. Just gotta work with me. Please subscribe. I want to make more stuff like this. I want to make this channel to glorify God. So if you want to help me do that, please subscribe. Please give this video a like. And I hope you have a great day.